So Casey, everyone knows you pretty well, especially over the summer sell movement, which we all are very familiar with. But
Hmm.
you have a new job. Can you please elaborate on your new position? First of all, congratulations, well deserved. Very happy for you. Very there couldn't be someone who is as passionate about the city of Oakland like us than you. So I'm very glad that you are working closely with the mayor, with the city of Oakland. But to everyone who's listening who may not be too familiar, can you please let them know about your new position?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, as you both well know, the story of Oakland sports became a story of politics in a lot of ways, right? And so, over the course of covering the A's and the Raiders and the Warriors, but mostly the A's, to some extent, I ended up covering a lot of politics. So now I can say I know like the last three mayors who I probably never would have spoken with otherwise. Um, but in covering this story, you get to know the people that are making the news, the people that are actually doing the work in the city. And, I got to know the mayor's chief of staff. I got to know the mayor really well. And to be quite honest, I really like them. I think they're really good people. I think they get a bad rap and they're working really hard. And when the opportunity presented itself and they gave me a call, you know what? Sometimes when opportunity knocks, you just answer the door. And that's what I did.
Absolutely. And is there anything about, I know it's a whole new world for you with this role. Is there anything that you miss about being, like a sports anchor, a producer, a broadcaster? Is there anything that you miss about the old gig versus your new role now? And yeah, just explain. I'm curious myself. This is not even an interview anymore. It's just me questions.
No, what's interesting is when you cover sports, you get to go to a lot of games for free, right? Whether you're credentialed or whether the teams give you free tickets just because they want you to be there talking about their team, and just chilling and watching sports for free. I really liked. Obviously, I can't do that anymore, so I buy my own tickets. I don't get credentials anymore, but I still really, in a lot of ways, it's kind of funny because I took this job and the very first thing that popped up was, trying to finish this Oakland Coliseum sale, which is something I've been extremely well versed in. I talked to all the players on every side of that situation, whether it's the county, whether it's the A's, whether it's the city, whether it's ASEG. I was already talking to all those people every day. So it's kind of funny to then just jump into this role where I'm still talking to the same people. Or, you remember what happened with the Oakland Ballers a month or so ago, where it's the end of the Ballers and there's drama and there's all these things and it was all overblown. But, that's something else I dealt with at work, which is funny because I already know everybody involved in that story. Or it's the Oakland Roots getting to play at the Oakland Coliseum, which is, again, something that I was covering on a daily basis and ended up being one of my main responsibilities as I took this job. So, yeah, it's been interesting in the sense that a lot of the things that have been at the forefront have all been things that I was kind of already doing anyway. So the timing couldn't have been better on my part, I guess.
Nice.
So
So go ahead,
I
go
have a
ahead.
question. I know, obviously the whole sports stuff is very interesting in Oakland. Obviously, we're going to lose the A's. We lost the Raiders, the Warriors, and a lot of questions that I guess I see everywhere is, Oakland has a lot more to worry about than sports, right? And while that's true, how how critical are all these teams right now, especially like the Roots, the Ballers, and the Soul to the community? If coming down from the office or the mayor's office, how do you see that?
Well, I think that what a lot of people say sometimes is like, oh, you got all these issues here. How can you handle these issues here? And well, honestly, when you're elected to run a city, you have to be able to multitask. A lot of issues are extremely important in a lot of ways, but you have to be able to handle them all at once. That's part of the job. So I don't think that you're necessarily ignoring one for the benefit of the other. You got to be able to handle it all. That's why you're put in that position to be in charge. So yeah, I think that even through the A's situation, and you saw it firsthand. You were right there throughout all of this. It was never a situation where it wasn't important to keep the A's. It wasn't a paramount issue. I mean, I can tell you for sure it was a tremendously important issue, and it still is. And getting the Roots to the Coliseum, hopefully getting the Malibu, like getting the Soul there too, I think are all tremendously important issues. And look at the Ballers, right? When when the Ballers idea came to be after the reverse boycott. This is actually really interesting information, not to diverge too much, but I got a call one day that I ignored. I got a DM that I ignored. And then one day a reporter walked into my office and handed me a phone and said, "These people want to talk to you." On the other end of the phone, I talked to somebody who wouldn't tell me who they were, what they wanted to talk about, but they wanted to meet me in person. So I said, "Come to my office where there's security." That person ended up, I brought him into the conference room at ABC. That person ended up being Paul Friedman. And I talked to him for a long time. And we joke that that is the secret meeting, the secret meeting,
Wow.
because it was the very first meeting that he had about the Ballers was to pitch me on the idea and get my thoughts. And I told him what I thought. And then they had the secret meeting, which I actually didn't attend because I was at Disneyland. And then he said, "Hey, do you think you could introduce me to Jorge Leon?" And he was really scared to talk to you at first.
Why is everyone scared of him? I don't understand. I don't get it.
But the reason I bring that point up is just that when the Ballers idea came to be, you guys saw how fast it came together, and what did the city do? The city gave them a list of things they needed to do to show they were serious, and when they did it, they got that thing done in a matter of months, right? So I think that sports is critically important to Oakland. I think it's important to our culture. It's important to the fabric of everything that we do. Like you, me, Jorge, aka Dada, we all know each other because we spent time at the Coliseum together, right? Like, I don't know that we ever would have ran into each other elsewise, but here we are, instant friends, because we're bonded by Oakland sports. And I think that's why it's important, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think that everybody in the city acknowledges that it is a top priority to make sure that we can keep that culture together.
Yeah, like a big thing, what we want to do with this podcast is not just make it purely just an Oakland space based podcast, but we want to talk about Oakland. We want to talk about the politics. We want to talk about the community and the importance, like you just said, about how community happens from sports in general, not just Oakland, but just sports. Like you just said, if it wasn't for the Oakland A's or the Oakland Coliseum, we may not have all met. And it's just something that we're trying to keep alive, something that we want to just talk about what's going on with the city, with the town, and the future of the sports scene. So thanks for sharing that story, because that wasn't even planned. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't even know that even happened. So.
Yeah, I keep telling people that, just not to like self promote here, but I just did a podcast with Tim Keon, right? And the best way to explain it was like, hey, that's our plaza. That's how we all met. That's how all this thing just kind of happened. I mean, Casey, you ended up have been a great friend, and people should know that you're a way better person than anything else, first and foremost, right? And so Anson as well, like that's my brother right there. So all this because of the A's and the power of sports, right?